Hey, my friends, it is Gina, and I am the creative here behind Create Daydream on YouTube as well as Instagram. And I hope y'all are doing well. We are in the middle of January 2022, and it is going by so fast. So as you can see from the starting photos, and now as I'm dealing out these cards, I did a few projects with this set. It comes with a full suit of hearts, and I made them into playing cards, and I have a few ideas for games that I will talk about later in the video. And I also decided to do a sample of blowing the cards up and laminating them, and that could be something that you work on as a family up till Valentine's Day or do towards kids, and I'll share all my ideas. This is one complete set, so you get 2 of those super cute little pieces of pattern paper as well as 3 pages of ephemera. The ephemera has all the hearts from a deck of cards on it. So it's ace through king. Some of them have Bible verses on them, and some of them have journaling prompts. Some are empty for you to go in and write on. And then on the right side of every page, there's just cute little ephemera, little conversation hearts. There are graph labels and just fun things that we all love for Valentine's Day. Okay, now I've got you on fast forward 2 times the speed, otherwise this would take forever. So what I'm doing here is I'm cutting down my pattern paper. I ended up using white sticker paper for my pattern paper, and I also did cardstock. So I have 2 ways of showing you how to do this because I know not everyone has the white sticker paper. And what I'm doing here is I'm cutting down each page of ephemera to just wrap the cards. So I'm cutting right at the very edge of the cards, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pattern paper on the back of those like an actual card set. So I wanted to have that as even as possible. Now, it's just a matter of now lining up the cards to the paper. So instead of cutting out each individual card and trying to match it up to the pattern paper, I decided to do the 6 at a time. Here I just flipped both over, and I'm going to take a pencil and just lightly draw a line around it. That way I know that I'm cutting correctly. The best way to do this is just line your pencil or your pen right up against the paper and gently go down. That'll give you a straight line. And I am using white sticker paper here, so I can just lay these on the back. I did not want to have to do 1 at a time. I thought it'd be easier to do 6 at a time. It ended up being there's a lot of cutting down that you have to do. I'm planning on giving these as a gift, so I want mine to look as nice as possible, but as you've heard me say, this is a handmade project, and handmade does not have to be exactly perfect. So here I took off just the corner of the sticker paper, and I'm lining it up as best as I can, and then I'm just going to smooth it as I go out and pull the underneath portion of the sticker paper off. And that is the best way to make sure that your sticker paper goes onto your cards, goes onto a Bible, goes onto anything that you want to do. And that's what I'm going to continue to do here. So while I'm doing that, I just want to read the heart behind Becca's set. She says, "With the start of the new year, I always feel the need to renew my relationship with God as well. For me, this is starting at the beginning of the Bible and getting back to the root of it all, His love. I created this album as a way to focus on His love and how I, in return, can show my love to Him and others in this world. I hope you enjoy putting this album together as much as I have enjoyed creating it." And I'm not necessarily doing an album, but it ends up kind of being like an album. I wanted to do the playing cards and leave them open for someone to be able to come in and journal on themselves. And then I also did a ring that could also be given away or something that I could journal through. You could easily do a little album. If you go back and watch my Peace Over Anxiety video, I did basically a book album for that devotional, and I sewed it together, but I also showed how you could tape it together with Scotch tape, or you could put it together with washi. One thing to mention here real quick is the heart paper is a pattern. So I made sure to put an arrow on my paper when I was cutting it or putting it down. That way when I flip it over, it's not upside down. So little tip for you. And then because there's 18 cards, I wanted 9 of them to be on the plaid paper and 9 of them to be on the heart paper. So that's what you see me doing here. And here's an example of putting them on cardstock. So what I do is you're going to see me using a tape runner as well as just regular glue stick. As you'll see, I'm going to continue putting this together, and while I'm doing that, I just wanted to focus a little bit on the verse or verses that Becca guides us towards, as well as how it relates to the compassion cure, which is what we're studying in the Illustrated Faith community right now. And Becca starts us with Psalm 52:8, and it reads, "But I am like an olive tree flourishing in the house of God. I trust in God's unfailing love forever and ever." And I think that, this time of year, obviously everyone's focused on love, but the most important thing, the most important person, the most important love that we can have is the love of Jesus Christ. And he loves us unconditionally. And a lot of us have a hard time accepting that. I am one of them. I took a long time to become a Christian because I did not think that I was good enough to be loved. And I believe I've mentioned this in videos before. So if I'm repeating myself, I do apologize. But I think it's super important that we are all reminded of that on a daily basis, because we can tend to forget, especially with what is going on in the world and in society and with our own homes, etc. So if you're watching this and you're not a Christian and you haven't found faith, I encourage you to just dig into the Bible. Get this set. This starts off with some very basic verses, and it's all about love. I'm going to read some more of the verses just so you have an idea of what they are, and then I'm also going to share how these cards could be used by adults, by kids, by anyone to just help us love one another more, love ourselves more, and love God more. As I'm flipping through the cards here and working on this a little bit more, I wanted to just give you some ideas on how you can work through these. So some of these are straight scripture cards, such as Psalm 52:8. I trust in God's unfailing love forever and ever. So say you're doing something up till Valentine's Day. You pick one card or two cards every day to work on. And you can take the card that is actually number 6 in the set. It's the 6 of Hearts. And again, it says, I trust in God's unfailing love forever and ever, Psalm 52:8. And that could be something that you study for that day. This could also be a project that you do with your kids and work through with them, like taking, the kids' scissors and allowing them to make the cards with you. I think that's a great way to incorporate them into it and get them excited about this. So right here, you're just seeing that I've got all the cards cut out, and I wanted to round the edges. I have the We Are Memory Keepers corner rounder, and there's 3 different ones. I just kind of stuck my cards in there to see which one I liked the best, and I ended up with I think the 7mm one, and I liked them a lot. Here I'm just kind of showing you that they actually work as cards, and depending on the cardstock, like, they can be pretty heavy. I didn't use a super heavy cardstock, but because you're putting 2 of them together, it actually ends up being quite fantastic. So now I'm going to go into just adding some ephemera to the fronts and the backs of these cards, and I'm also going to put some hole punches in it because I decided it'd be cute as a gift to put them on a ring that can be taken off and used, and then you could put them back on. So while I'm doing that, I'll talk a little bit more about my ideas for using the cards. Along with scripture, Becca provided us with just some blank cards. The 7 of Hearts, for example, says, Dear God. And for me, I would use that in a journal or in a Bible, and that would be my prayer. So say you're doing it with your kids, or, you're doing it for yourself, and this is the card that you start with, is Dear God, and that could be your prayer. And you could talk to your kids about, okay, what is your prayer to God, or what do you want to learn from this, or anyone in a women's group or anything. The ideas are really endless, and the people that it can be used by are endless as well. This can go towards anyone. So a couple other of the cards, she has a card in here that is Romans 5:8, It says, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Then she gives us a journaling prompt right underneath that verse. It says, how can I demonstrate my love? So a lot of the cards have the verses, a lot have journaling prompts, and some are empty, so you can use them anyway. Some of my ideas are taking a notebook and almost doing like scripture journaling. You could do that with the cards that have scripture on it, and then if you're setting up the cards for somebody else, you could put a scripture on there. There's so many Bibles that in the back have like all these different topics that you can go to, and they will tell you exactly where you can find all the scriptures for love, or you can go online and find that. So those ideas are endless. So as you can see, this is a pretty big paper craft project. I'm super happy with it. Paper craft projects for me are a labor of love, and they're something that I can look back on and just be really happy that I did it. And in this case, I did 3 projects. 2 of them I'm going to gift, and then 1 of them I'm going to work through. So you're just going to see me finishing up putting some ephemera on these cards. You know, you can bring in anything you want. I used just Becca's set because I'm on her team and wanted to demonstrate that. Here's a photo of some of the cards. And then I decided to blow up the cards. I thought this would be a really good idea for younger kids to have bigger cards. Like you could have them in a stack and you pick one once a day. And like I was saying with the smaller cards, you could add scripture and this and that. And that's kind of what I did. I didn't add scripture, but I ended up adding some questions. And here I did the same thing that I did with the other cards. I am going to put the pattern paper behind it, but this time I'm going to laminate it. So I need to make sure that my papers are lined up, and before I decide to laminate it, I wanted to go in and use up those couple of spots. So I opened up the Compassion Cure. The last week of the Compassion Cure is focused on love, and I wanted to bring in a couple of the questions to add on the cards. In this case, I took the inspiration that Eliza gave us for the questions, and I kind of reworded them so they would be geared more towards children under the age of 10. So they're pretty simple, but super fun. And I printed them out on sticker paper, clear sticker paper. If you can see, there's parts of these cards that are on super light pink, and then the whole card is on just this light tan color, almost like an off-white color. So clear sticker paper for me is going to be the best, but you could put it on cardstock and glue it down if you want to, because it is going through a laminator. So I'm using thermal laminating pouches by Scotch, and fun fact, I just used a laminator for the first time ever in my entire life last week. My husband's a baseball coach, and he wanted me to laminate cards, passes for a tournament, and I did it, and I really thought, okay, I can laminate all the things now. This could be fun. So I'm learning as I'm laminating, and I'm going to share one of the mistakes I made here. But for now, I want to put the cards together just like I did with the other ones. I'm loading them into the laminating pouch, and if you have a laminator, lots of times they need to be heated up. So mine is up there at the top of the screen. You can see it. I put my paper all the way through, or all the way up to the very top. I missed putting this into the laminator, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You just kind of slide it in there and it goes through real slowly. Then you need to let it cool off. I did not let it cool off, and there's going to be a mistake that you're going to see here in a minute. I'm taking old scissors. I did not want to put this through my paper trimmer because it's too thin, and I did not want to use my good scissors. It's not a super thick laminating pouch, but still, I just did not want to take the chance. So I'm going to cut all these down, and then I'm just going to share with you a little mistake that I made along the way. I decided to try rounding the edges because they show that on the card. Didn't end up liking it. Bad idea. I'm cutting down right along the edge of the paper. I would encourage you not to do that. In the future, I probably would split the cards up so there's a little bit of laminating sheet in between each one. In this case, I cut them all down. A few of them turned out okay, but then you're going to see that the jack did not seal because I cut off the end. So all I did was I went in there with some tape runner and I put it down, and it ended up being fine. But I just thought this was such a cute idea. Here I'm just reminding myself that trying to round the corners was a thumbs down, but as you can see, they just look so nice. They have the prompts on them, and this is something that would be great with a scripture, like journal, or even just a kid's notebook that they could write in. So that's my idea. I'm giving this little notebook, which I actually change out for a darker red, but I'm going to give a notebook. I'm thinking about doing the very first page as like my little note to them. So I pulled a few of the cards and a little bit of the ephemera. I'm making it very simple, or I might just take a picture of it and print it and put it in there and say, okay, this is how you can use this. You can put it in a journal. You can use the ephemera, and I'll give the ephemera with it. So now this is just how I'm going to wrap it up. Initially, I was thinking I was going to leave the cards in there. It doesn't end up working out well, but I have the cards on a ring now, the initial cards that I made, and then I also have the bigger cards. And you just want to, like, this fabric is one-sided, so I just adjusted it. I ended up taking out the bigger cards. I'll do something separate with them, like leave them on a binder clip, and I think I showed where you could put them on a pouch, in a pouch as well. But it's a super fun project. I hope you guys like this. If you did, leave me a comment, leave me a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel, and share this with your friends if you want to. And then let me know what you're doing for Valentine's Day, or if you have any cute ideas, or if you have any ideas you want me to try. I'm always down to try something new. So I'll see you guys all in my next video. God bless you, and sending you loads of love.